Well, it's starting a new day. Uh, we're leaving Paducah, Kentucky now, and this is actually where we're going to get into the Tennessee River. It's about a half a mile from here, and actually, what we did is, we were told that they were working on the locks right here on the Tennessee River. So we were told to go down the Ohio River, go past to Cumberland River, and come down that way, and that Cumberland River would come out in Lake Kentucky. And right at the start of Lake Kentucky is a marina that we were told was a good place to stop. So it's not a very long run, it's a fairly short run. Uh, so I decided to go ahead and make that run to, it's called Green Turtle Marina. Uh, Supposed to be a nice little marina. I decided I might stay a day or two depending on weather and how the day is going for me. So also pick up some fuel while I'm there. I did pick up some fuel here in Paducah, and then decided to go ahead and but I didn't pick up but one tank, so I would need to fill up the second tank. Uh, I've just gone past the 208-mile range that I needed. I needed to get to Paducah, which gave me a 208-mile range. So I was able to do that with the extra cans that I bought at Walmart. So now I can go back to getting my fuel the way I was doing it before. And normally the way I will do it is I'll run one tank all the way down, and when I switch over to the other tank, then that's when I start looking to pick up fuel, and I will fill up that empty tank, and then that way I'm still running on the other tank, and when that one goes empty, I switch over to the other tank, and then I start looking to pick up fuel. So I'm getting about an average of 60 to 65-mile range on each tank. So far, I haven't had to uh, change my plans. When I get to Green Turtle Marina, I'll fill up one of my tanks there. And they say that's a pretty nice marina. It's got a nice little restaurant. And I figured I would stay there for at least, well, overnight anyway. So here we go. We're still on the Ohio River here. And then we're going to go down to well, we're going to go down to the Cumberland, I'm sorry, the Cumberland River. And we're going to come down the Cumberland River. Should be about a 3 to 4 hour uh, drive. So far, everything's working pretty good. Here we are just going outside of Paducah now. Uh, this is still the Ohio, but to the left, to the right there, you can see it kind of it kind of has a Y, and if you go to the left side, you're still on the Ohio River. You go to the right side, and you're in the Tennessee River. But like I said, we were told that they were doing some construction work on the lock right here as you get into the Tennessee River. So you either might have a long wait or you might not be able to get there. So we decided to just go all the way down to the Cumberland and come down that way. And here we are. Finally made it after going down the Cumberland River. I'm down to Green Turtle Marina. Pretty nice little marina, although the town is not very close, so there's really nowhere to go except right around here. This was an interesting little marina because They didn't have any space for me at the time, but they had what they call the dinghy docks, which is right down here. And as you can see, they put me underneath the building there, and you can see there's another sea dory, and it's the same kind of sea dory as the one I have. It's a 22 footer, except that's a newer one. He's got a his is a 2006, I think he told me it was, and he's running twin engines. He's running uh, twin 40 horsepower Yamahas. Uh, anyway, I stayed there overnight, then filled up in the morning and took off from there, and decided, well, I'll probably have to make one or two more runs uh, or stops before I get to another major city. So there was a place called uh, Cuba Marina, which is in Cuba, Kentucky. So I decided to make that my next stop. Uh, I came into this little place right here because I was told they had a nice restaurant and a good uh, marina if I wanted to stay overnight, and they had fuel. So I stopped here and walked into the restaurant. There was a couple of guys sitting down eating at a table. The waitress was talking to them. There was another gentleman standing up by the door, and an older lady in the back. Looked like she was sitting in the office, I guess doing paperwork. Uh, Stood there for quite a while. Nobody ever came up, asked me if I wanted anything. So I figured, well, I guess they didn't want my business, so I went ahead and turned around, walked back out. I was really hoping to enjoy the restaurant here because they said it's got good food, but I figured, well, if nobody wants to acknowledge that I'm even standing there, I guess, they don't want to service me. Nobody ever said anything, so I turned around and walked out. So it looked like a nice little place, but like I said, I don't like to just stand around and they could at least had the courtesy to say, hey, somebody will be with you in just a minute or something, or have a seat. But nobody did. Nobody said anything to me. I walked right back out, got on my boat, started her up, and pulled away. And that was it. I figured it was more their loss than mine because I was going to go ahead and fuel up while I was here too. So I just moved on, kept going somewhere else. Uh, and it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't a bad little marina. I kind of enjoyed it. It was nice. Kind of one of these, out of the nowhere place. No town or anything around here. So I went ahead and left. But I figured it was their loss because I was going to spend money. I was going to eat there. I was going to put fuel there. And I had even considered maybe staying here, depending on, what went on. But since I couldn't even get anybody to help me with grabbing some lunch, I decided, no, I guess if they don't want to help nobody, I'm not going to stay. Anyway, I went ahead and moved on. I wasn't too far away from Cuba Marina, which I figured, well, I guess I can grab something to eat there if I needed to. So took off. I can't remember the name of this little marina here, but it was a nice little marina. I thought I was, would have been nice if I, could have gotten some service and could have taken my time, grabbed something to eat and everything. But hey, the old saying, you might as well just move on. Now, we're basically still on the Tennessee River. Actually, I'm part of the Kentucky Lake also. So, which the Tennessee River, I guess, is part of the lake. So we went through Lake Kentucky. which was part of the Tennessee River, as they say. And now we're heading down to Tennessee. Now, we only have the Tennessee River now to go down to, and that's going to put us into the Tombegbee waterway. And the Tombegbee waterway is actually going to be the very last stretch of river that we're going to have to travel, because the Tombegbee waterway actually turns into Mobile River, and that's only, I would say, maybe 10 miles long, and then you're down actually in Mobile, Alabama. Now, when you get to Mobile, Alabama, obviously, hey, you're back out on the Gulf, but there's still an intercoastal that goes across Mobile, Alabama, all the way down to Carabel, Florida. So once I get to Mobile, Alabama, I'll get back on the intercoastal and get back to saltwater. Also, the tides. So you're going to have to start dealing with the tides again. The tide going up and down here, I don't know how high or how low it goes down, but I can check before I leave here. And once I would imagine I still have maybe 3 days, maybe 4 days, and I'll be down to Mobile, Alabama. So it's kind of like a milestone once you get down to Mobile, Alabama, because I'm almost home. I'm probably 10 days, maybe 15 days away from getting to Tampa and accomplishing my trip, getting to Mobile, or getting back to Tampa. Once I do get back to Tampa, I've calculated that the route, and it's approximately 5,500 miles. So I'm kind of surprised that this little 90 horse 2-stroke E-Tech motor has actually behaved pretty good. Mechanically wise, as far as the motor itself, I haven't had any issues with it. I did do the 300-hour service when I was in Wisconsin, and I did have to replace the lower unit because water got into it. I guess I had a bad seal, and water got into it, and I ended up having to replace it. So, but hey, stuff like that happens. So here we are. We're going to go ahead and go back out onto the river now, the Tennessee River now, and we're going to head south on it. The water's pretty smooth. Shouldn't have any problems whatsoever. Everything looks nice and smooth, but I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and drop anchor or even tie up. Now here we are heading south. Decided to record some of the foliage here, the trees. As you can see, you can start seeing they're starting to change colors. So it's fall now, and it's starting to get the nights are real nice. Don't even have to run no air conditioner or anything. It's nice and cool, so you're able to sleep comfortably. And you can see the beautiful scenery here with all the trees and everything, and you can kind of see the changing of the trees and the color and stuff, which is something we don't have in Florida. We're basically green all day, all year round, because we don't get too cold. So we don't have any color changes of the leaves or the trees, or even the leaves falling off. But you can see it here as we're making this run here. You can start seeing a little bit of change, and that change, of course, is the fall area now. So we're still on schedule to make it. Here's a little place where I decided to go ahead and stop off, and this is I stayed here overnight. This is Cuba Marina, And here's where I tied up. I just came in and tied up right by the fuel dock, and it was Sunday, and they were closed on Sunday. So I couldn't pick up fuel. I decided, well, I could just stay tied up to the dock here. If they say something, I guess I could pay them for staying overnight. Uh, but in the morning at 8 o'clock when they open up, I'll be able to pick up my fuel and move on. So I just kind of walked around for a little while, recorded a couple of things of the marina and stuff, and there was no towns. There's nothing to walk to or nowhere I could really take my little electric bike and go grab something to eat. Uh, so I just stayed tied up here. There was nobody around the whole day. Nobody came around or anything. Uh, Next morning, I went ahead and fueled up, and as you can see, I'm going to go ahead and pull out of here. Um, they didn't say anything about me being tied up all night long. They didn't even ask if I had how long I'd been there. I just Some guy showed up at 8 o'clock in the morning, told him, yeah, I just needed to pick up fuel, and that was it. So I didn't have to pay anything, so that was nice. Stayed by the dock, kind of a little bit more secure. It's a little bit uh, kind of sleep better knowing that, hey, you're tied up to the dock. You don't have to worry about somebody coming over and running over you and this and that. But anyway, here I am making a turn so you can kind of see it's a park area, kind of like a little park area. They did have toilets and showers, as a matter of fact. So I took advantage of that also by going and having, using the toilets and using the shower last night before I went to bed. I kind of took a shower real quick. But you can see it's a nice little area. It's out in the middle of nowhere. There was nothing out here except, they did say they get a lot of people, go fishing out here because it's a very good fishing spot. And there was in the morning, I did see probably 4 or 5 fishing boats come in. Those, the bass boat type things, they came in, they launched their boats out, and some of them even stayed right around this little area doing some fishing. So I got to talk to the guy when I was fueling up, and he was saying, yeah, this whole area around here is a very good fishing spot because it's isolated. Not too many people out here because there's no town. There's no town. There's nothing out here except this little marina, and it's part of, I guess, the city of Cuba. And this one here is called Cuba Marina. So, but it was a nice little marina too. Very upscale. The ship's store had everything you basically could need. And like I said, here all I'm doing is basically just panning around 360, and then I'm going to go ahead and pull out and go down, head south again. And haven't really figured out how far I was going to go today, but I probably have to drop anchor somewhere or tie up at another dock somewhere. I don't think I'm gonna travel to another marina or anything like that for at least till tomorrow sometime. I think, if I'm not mistaken, there was a place that had just a dock. It was a boat ramp that was also out there. There was really nothing out there. There was the dock itself was part of a state park, but it wasn't a very big state park. Very small little state park, and they only had one little pavilion, where people can come and sit. And I think a lot of it had to do because of the fact that you're out in a rural area, you don't have too many people out here, so uh, they didn't really need a real huge state park. But the fact that it had a boat ramp, it had a dock, so I thought, well, might as well take off and go and, and stay there overnight. And then by the next morning, I should be able to hit another marina somewhere and stay there maybe a day or two. Because what I've been doing is I've been traveling every day. And I notice about the third day of straight driving every day, fourth day, I'm kind of beat up. So what I've been doing is I've been kind of spending at least a day and a half, sometimes even 2 days at a marina tied up somewhere, and just kind of to relax, take it easy, and enjoy the view and enjoy the weather. Weather's beautiful out here. Doesn't get too hot. If I'm traveling during the day, the breeze keeps me nice and cool. Not only that, you're on you're on the water, so that also helps a lot as far as keeping the boat cool, and the breeze that comes over the boat as you're moving is nice and cool. Uh, so yeah, it's very pleasant riding right now, the weather wise, as far as everything is concerned. Uh, Here we are as we took off again, and you can see the leaves here. You can see the trees. You can see the color change and everything. So and that's what's giving, it's a good indication there that it's starting to get cold. Uh, Not as far as cold right now, but it is cool. Whereas I have to cover up at night. Uh, I have a sleeping bag that I normally lay on top of, but I also brought a blanket with me, and I use the blanket just to kind of cover myself because now it is starting to get nice and cool, which is good though, because I'd rather be cold and have a blanket to cover myself up than it be hot and I have nothing there. Uh, but you can see how the leaves are starting to change. It's beautiful. It looks great. I hadn't seen this changes of the weather or the seasons in years, because when you live in Florida, you don't see that, especially down south of Florida. You don't see the leaves changing color or anything. And this was pretty nice as far as the view, and how you have these big rocks and everything, the limestone and different types of rock that are along the side of the river. And it's nice, a nice picture. Nice taking pictures of that kind of stuff. Uh, Also coming up is it's a good deal on a house that, you know, for anybody who's in the market of a house on the water, it's probably one of your best deals you're ever going to find, except the fact that it's falling in the water. Uh, it's a good buy. Apparently, there must have, uh, somehow, some of these rocks come loose and came down, and the when they built the house on top of the rocks or something, I guess they built it too close to the water, and it started to actually fall apart and started to fall in. It was empty. You're going to see it. We're going to pass it here in just a few minutes. The house itself is empty because you could tell by looking at it, nobody lives on there, and you can see the back porch and part of the house almost falling over the cliff now. Uh, so you're looking for a deal on waterfront property. That's one of them. You probably get a hell of a deal. But I see a lot of the houses out here, and they're way up on these cliffs, of the stone and everything. So I don't see, the sense of having waterfront property where you really can't even get to the water because it's pretty stiff cliffs, and unless you put some kind of ladder or something to be able to come to walk down to the water's edge, I just don't see paying the extra money for being on the river or being what we consider waterfront property. Um, Here's a nice view of the colors changing again. And like I said, it is starting to get kind of cool. Even during the day, it's comfortable. And at night, it gets to the point where I do have to cover myself up with my blanket when I go to sleep at night. But that makes it very, very nice because, like I said earlier, I would rather be to the point where I can cover myself up and sleep comfortably than be sweating at night. Uh, Here we are. Uh, Actually, this is the place. The other place I was telling you about, that was the marina where I stayed at. This is the place where I came into to try and grab something to eat, and I couldn't get anybody to help me. So this is where I decided to go ahead and just take off. Uh, I had our, like I said, I walked in there and nobody bothered to even say, hey, sit down or have a seat. I'll be with you shortly. Uh, so it looked like a nice marina. I think I would have enjoyed it had I could, had I could have gotten some service. If I could have had some service, I probably would have even enjoyed the marina. They were going to make some money because I was going to fuel up there too. I was going to put some fuel. I was going to grab something to eat, and I had even considered staying overnight, but it turned out, it didn't work out at all. Uh, the other place where that I was telling you about that I made a mistake and told you that was where I didn't have the service was actually that place was actually Green Turtle Marina. I was doing the same thing, 360-degree turn, so you could see the marina itself. That was all Green Turtle Marina. So I mistaked the different areas, but this wasn't here. Like I said, it wasn't a bad little place. Also, it was out in the middle of nowhere, so I couldn't even tie up anywhere and try and go grab something to eat around here. So I just kept going, went ahead and got back in the boat and just took off again. Decided, well, I'm sure I'll run into something sooner or later. When I got closer to the place, I found this little spot right here. Now, this is actually a boat ramp, uh, but they didn't have an actual ramp for you to put your boat in. It was just a dock, really, and this is a state park here. So I guess people can come down to the dock here and fish off the docks and everything. I tied up and stayed overnight. I figured, well, unless somebody comes and tells me I got to move, I'll just stay here overnight. And I did, and it was nice and comfortable. Didn't have any problems whatsoever. Able to get up in the morning, have my breakfast, and then here we are taking off again the next morning. So my next stop hopefully was going to be at a marina somewhere. I had been 2 days now where I had stayed out and I'd traveled for quite a few hours this time. You can see here the nice, beautiful scenery. Now here's somewhere around here you're going to see that house. There's that house I was telling you about. It's way on the top there. It's actually starting to fall in because the cliff there has kind of fallen apart. You can see all the dirt and all the rocks and everything are coming down. So that house is practically falling in already. I'm sure it's been condemned. Well, I went ahead and did make it to the marina here, and this is a little state park. So this is the end of this trip right here, and hopefully we'll be. I'm gonna stay a couple days here, take it easy for a little while. It's a nice little state park, but nowhere to really go and grab anything to eat. So this is the last of the video here, and next posting, we should be going into the Tombegbee waterway system, and when we get to there, we are just about 3/4 of the way. Thank you. Bye.